We're not going to get through this holding hands. Peaceful protest only works if your enemy has a moral obligation to listen to it. They have none. You guys are sitting there holding up signs and saying, oh, I'm mad at you. You're pathetic. Burn something.
Yes, the Democrat Party. Then they went hunting for synagogues and Jewish governors' mansions, and if you're pro-Israel, they might firebomb you. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Take your signs and burn something. At what point? At what point do we declare the Democrat Party to be a terrorist organization? How many acts of violence do they have to, political violence, do they have to commit in the United States before they're declared a terrorist organization? That was just a Democrat rioting, inflicting mayhem, calling for arson and felonies, and cheerful about it. As cheerful as these mental cases get, anyway. But a very happy Wednesday to you, a very happy hump day here in the United States of America. You know what that means in the Clinton household. Hillary Clinton waking up face down in a pool of her own vomit on a linoleum kitchen floor in one of their multi-million-dollar mansions, knowing she has to get out of the house because it's hump day in the Clinton household. And that means it's mailbag day here on the Chris Plante Show. It's mailbag day, and I take questions from the mailbag and answer them right here on the radio, and it's a lot of fun for everyone, I think, for everyone, except for those who are incapable of having fun, which is every Democrat in America because of the mental illness known as Democrat Party membership, the mentals. They're really something. And I have a couple of clips of audio that I look forward to playing for you because it's women. You know how white women can be these days. Not what they used to be, that's for sure. Most privileged class of person on the face of the planet Earth. You're welcome. Thank you. The patriarchy says you're welcome. Now, I do want to get to a couple in it. You say it's number 20. Is that correct? Number 20 is the soundbite that I want to go to start off our day today. And I was looking at this. Actually, it started because my best girl this morning was looking on the internet on her laptop there, and she was laughing. And I said, "Oh, what's that, my sweet, my dove?" And she said, "Well, watch this." And I watched that, and so I think I might have to share that on the radio. And it reminded me of another Democrat. Of another white woman, and the other one a Democrat, one not a Democrat, and two women, a tale of two women. No, not women with tails, as the Democrat prehensile tails or anything like that. Democrats, they like the primordial, the pre-civilizational. What do the Democrats use to light their homes before candles? What do the Democrats use to light their homes before candles? The answer is electricity. See California for a clue on that. Now let me go to the thing, and it's going to be page. We have many pages of sound bites here today, and that's all my fault. I apologize, but let's go to it's a story, a tale of two women on TikTok. And here is a Democrat woman. There's a Democrat woman who is, I guess a pretty typical Democrat woman in Minnesota in 2026 and in 2025 and in 2024. And this is speaking on behalf of, I think, the entire Democrat Party.
All we're learning from this is that you should hit the gas. If you should run them over. You should run them over with your car, and you should do it quickly before they can shoot you. I have to go to my mechanic. I have to get my car fixed so that I can drive faster, just in case. This is insane. You should hit them. You should hit them. They will say you hit them anyway. You should hit them with your car.
She's going to her mechanic, and she's going to ask her. She has a mechanic, and patriarchy, and she's going to demand that the mechanic make her car drive fast. Hey, my car doesn't go fast enough to run over federal agents. Can you make my car go faster so that I can more efficiently and effectively run over and murder federal agents and then be sentenced to the electric chair and put to death in Supermax because the Democrat Party demands it of me? The Democrat Party is a mental illness. It's honestly. And then this is the one that my best girl was watching this morning, and this is great. And they're of course nameless, faceless TikTok, liberal idiots out there with this let's murder federal law enforcement, and they're women in their 20s and 30s for the most part. Now, the one that my best girl was watching this morning, a video. Here's a woman in Minnesota. Who did not want to give away her location or her name, nor will I make an effort to reveal her location and name. You see, the Democrats have hacked all the ICE people and exposed their names and things, 4,500 of them, because civil war is what the Democrats are angling for, and the political leadership, they don't have anything to say. But here's the another woman, and see if you can note the difference. A woman in Minnesota saying she had just been in a store, and in the store, there are a bunch of ICE agents, right? And they're identifiable. The Democrats say you can't tell who they are because of their severe brain damage that may have happened before birth or perhaps during birth, or maybe it's the drugs. It's hard to say. But here's a woman who didn't grow up being an idiot Democrat and doing drugs and wasn't deprived of oxygen at birth. And she had just come from a store where there were a bunch of ICE agents in the store in Minnesota, but not in Minneapolis, St. Paul, not in Rochester, but outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and outside of Rochester. Woman went into a store. There were a whole bunch of ICE agents in there. What happened?
I love the suburb I'm in. So ICE was just in my suburb at our local grocery store while I was there, and they were grabbing somebody. Nobody in the grocery store stopped them from doing their job. Everybody was clapping and excited about ICE being there. People were hooting and hollering, chanting for ICE. You gotta love small towns in Minnesota, honestly. We are so stoked. And honestly, you know what I did after the ICE agents got done with their job and what they were doing? I said, can I buy you all, like something to drink, something to eat? And I did. And I sure did, because you know what? I'm excited that ICE is in Minnesota. Really excited.
Even nice Midwestern, middle-aged women use the F word in every sentence now. It's kind of an amazing thing, like schoolgirls do. Because, and I put the blame for that on the Democrat Party as well. Just extraordinary. But how great is that? She's in a grocery store. She doesn't want to say where she is because, the rioting, lunatic, mental cases. And ICE agents came into a grocery store. She's in the grocery store. And what happened? They were grabbing somebody who's, probably a serial murderer in their home country. Or maybe I was reading from the list of some of the people that they arrested just in the last few days in Minnesota that the Democrats are out there protecting with their very lives. And the Democrats, they want more crime. They want more murder. They want more mayhem. I was telling you yesterday about Mr. Pavian, a Laotian immigrant illegally in the country, convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a boy and convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a girl. And he's had a deportation order in place since 2018. And ICE was there to arrest him because the Democrats let him roam free in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Federal government went in and grabbed the guy to deport him because he's not a good neighbor, although the Democrats like to refer to these people as neighbors. In fact, the mayor, again, referring to these people as our neighbors. Our neighbors, that's good. Most people that have neighbors like this live in penitentiaries. Hey, here's my neighbor. Oh, really? What can you tell me about him? Well, convicted of sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under the age of 13, procuring a child for prostitution, which is a different guy, Tao Vang, another Laotian immigrant illegally in the country, and the Democrats are out there on the street protecting him because you know how they are. And then there's Herman Cortez Valencia, a Mexican illegal alien in the country who was convicted of sexual assault of a child and then throw in a DUI because, drunk Mexican thing and all that. So a deportation order in place since 2016. That's 10 years. And the Democrats in Minnesota said, let him go. What's the worst that could happen? So they let him go, and they're out there fighting for him. But this nice lady in Minnesota went into the grocery store, and what did the people do, Michael? What did the people in the grocery store saw the ICE people, and they were in there, and they're arresting somebody, maybe one of these people, maybe somebody very much like this. And what happened? The people in the grocery store in normal Minnesota, outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul, they applauded. They applauded the ICE agents in the store.
Everybody was clapping and excited about ICE being there. People were hooting and hollering.
Hootin' and hollering. I love hootin' and hollering, too. That's a great Midwestern turn of phrase, great Minnesota turn of phrase. That was Minnesota nice. That was Minnesota nice. Maybe you should just fence off Minneapolis and St. Paul and give it to the left and the animals, all the illegal alien murderers and rapists and sodomites and the Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. But I love the juxtaposition of the two women here. The one, the liberal woman, says she's going to her mechanic. She doesn't understand much to ask him to make her car go faster so that she can more effectively run over and kill federal law enforcement agents. And because Renee Good, you know.
I have to go to my mechanic. I have to get my car fixed so that I can drive faster, just in case.
Just in case. You got to drive faster, because that's really low IQ theater. I think we should take a look at public education in the state of Minnesota, certainly around Minneapolis, St. Paul. Just crazy, just completely nutty people. And that is very much the mainstream of the Democrat Party. The governor is with that woman. The mayor of Minneapolis is with that woman. Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King on Capitol Hill, is with that woman. Barack Obama's with that woman. The Democrat Party, Hillary Clinton. Oh, yeah, Hillary Clinton is expected to violate the law, commit a felony today, and she's been called before Congress about the Jeffrey Epstein thing yesterday. Bill Clinton defied the Congress. Today, Hillary Clinton will defy the Congress because, you know, they're just not on Team America. They don't believe in the law of the land. They have no regard. Bill Clinton might be able to make an argument legally as a former president, as an ex-president, but Hillary Clinton, not an ex-president, woohoo, because of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump beat her in the presidential election. Then the New York Times said she had a 97% chance of winning, and the New York Times has a 97% chance of never being a newspaper again. Isn't that amazing? So we've got. I just wanted to open with it because I like those two women folk and the way they demonstrated the juxtaposition, the difference between the Democrat Party, violent, criminally insane women threatening to make their cars go faster. They're going to go to a mechanic, and say, make my car go faster because I want to run over men and kill men. And just, I gotta tell you, there was another one. I saw another one last night on the television, another left-wing woman who had piercings in her face, and she's a lunatic. And she said that she was happy to go out and kill ICE agents because of her hatred of men, of her hatred of men. And she frothy, and she said it 2 times, I think, that she's perfectly comfortable with going out and killing ICE agents because they're men, and she's sexist. It's a clear case of misandry, not a term used very frequently, of women despising men because they're men. And the Democrat Party teaches that, you know, toxic masculinity and the evil of the patriarchy, which gives them electricity and daylight and oxygen and everything that they need to live every day. But never mind that. So we've got a lot going. Also, the Supreme Court yesterday. We've got Minnesota ICE operations continue, netting 10 killers, violent child rapists. But lefty politicians want agents out because they're on the side of crime and criminals. Also, the Supreme Court yesterday, where the Democrats were arguing that there is no such thing as men and women, no such thing as boys and girls, no such thing as gender, only their mental illness. And they're pushing that. Man, oh, man. Even the Washington Post with their headline, trans athletes head to the Supreme Court. They mean cross-dressing, transgender, mentally ill people. Neither science nor the American public is on their side. The Washington Post actually trying to help them. Update on the Iranian Revolution, where CBS News says that they may have killed how many thousands? How many thousands now? Yes, sir. We got that. We got lots and lots. We're at 888-630-9625.
You should hit them with your car!
Have you seen the new protests the Democrats are starting? Shave for Renee. Shave for Renee. It may not be what you think it is. I'll have to explain. as that comes up. Let's go to the telephones in the meantime. Let's go to Steve, calling from the great state of Kentucky. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plante Show. Steve.
Hey, my comment is,
yes, sir.
Let me tell you my story. I was watching ABC News, and they basically had photographic proof, they said, frame-by-frame analysis of the video. And it dawned on me, as a former photo recon pilot, they don't have any actual evidence. They have either digital or video, which is easily manipulated.
And what did they claim the video showed, the frame-by-frame showed?
Oh, that the guy was not in the path of the car, and he was off to the side, and, he shot through the window. And what do you expect from ABC?
The front window, the windshield, with the bullet hole in the windshield glass between where the federal law enforcement agent was and the hero Renee Good was. And, in fact, it shows the opposite of what they were pretending, right?
Well, I don't really know because, again, it's all digital. So, I look at that as, if it was on film in an actual frame photograph, I'd say, okay, but this is digital. So who knows what we're looking at?
Well, we've seen there are probably 5 different camera angles of this incident, and the news media likes to show the angle or angles that are least favorable to the federal law enforcement agent. And there's one that shows, at least one, where he's holding his own cell phone and he's hit by Renee Good's vehicle, and you can hear it, and you can hear him, that the wind knocked out him as he's hit by a car racing at him, driven by a left-wing woman who's a lunatic. And now we got, they're so crazy, we've got people resigning from the Justice Department, according to news reports, because the Justice Department isn't aggressively enough going after the federal agent. Yeah, yeah. Democrats,
If I got a second, I grew up in Minnesota, and given the first opportunity, I joined the Army.
No kidding, is that right? Wow. And then you end up doing aerial photographic reconnaissance. Very cool. This is indeed a great country. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, what did you hear about this Shave for Renee movement? Shave for Renee movement. It's a movement. They stand up a movement every hour or so. No wonder they're all nuts. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Jason, calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Jason, you are on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris, love the show. I just wanted to make a comment about the woman you said who had to go to her mechanic. My guess is some of these lunatic lefties, a lot of them drive these old beater cars with stickers all over them, so odds are her car is actually broken and needs to be fixed so it can get out of second gear and go faster.
Well, every day's an IQ test, as I like to say, Jason, but you're right, she probably does. In fact, Renee Good had how many bumper stickers on her car? And nobody in the media has taken a picture. I've tried to zoom in on the bumper stickers, but I don't know. She's got 10 or 12 or 14 bumper stickers on her car, I think, before she tried to run over a federal agent and got shot in the face.
She's not as seasoned as the other ones. The other ones, you can't even see through the back glass.
Right, and you can't see that, which is a standard lefty thing too. What is with that? What is with the blacked out? Is because everybody's smoking crack pipes in there, or because prostitution going on in the car? What, they like doing a soup kitchen in the back of that car? What's going on with that?
There's no telling.
Yeah,
all crazy.
All crazy. How did that happen, Jason? When did that happen?
It starts at home.
It really does. Like everything, it starts at home. That's a really good answer, Jason. That's a great kind of Minnesota, Chattanooga, Tennessee answer. It does start at home. So here's the crazy thing. I don't know if you caught this, Jace, but last night I actually watched the CBS Evening News last night. There was a Trump interview and everything, and it turns out that Renee Good's father is a big Donald Trump supporter.
Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
there's some good in that family, I suppose.
Yeah, that's in the good family. Yeah, that is. That's kind of remarkable. And the new anchor guy, Tony Dokapil or whatever his name. Everybody's still trying to learn his name. And he said, well, he's talking to Donald Trump in a Ford factory, and it's very loud in the background. He said, well, you know that Renee Good's father is a big Trump supporter, and Donald Trump responded. In fact, maybe I'll even play that one for you today. But they gave me too much stuff. But yeah, you're right. She's probably driving an old beater that barely drives, and if it's got a stick shift, it doesn't work, and it's got bumper stickers. They all have bump. You know, usually when you see, almost always when you see a car with 20 bumper stickers on it, it's got to be a liberal. Most conservatives don't put 20 bumper stickers on their car because. For me, I've never had a bumper sticker on any car I've ever owned in my entire life. I've never deliberately, I've never put a bumper sticker on a car that I own. Because when I'm driving down the road, I don't need everybody I drive by to know my inner thoughts, you know?
I have a "Don't Tread on Me" sticker, and that's it.
Oh, that's pretty straightforward. But I just driving down the road, and it's like, well, I know where you went to school, I know where your kids go to school, I know where you vacation, I know where you live, I know who you voted for the last 6 presidential elections, I know where you stand on abortion and on guns, and you're for killing babies, but not allowing people to arm themselves in their homes, and I know all about you. I know that I don't want to have dinner with you, I don't want to have a beer with you. I know that you're out of your mind because you posted it on your car for everyone to see. That never made a lot of sense to me.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
Well, another in the long list of things that don't make sense.
Another item in the long list of things that don't make sense. Jason, you got it figured out, and you're laughing about it, and that's good. And I got another Democrat story for you today that I just mentioned, and it's the Shave for Renee protest. Listen to the Shave for Renee protest. That's completely nuts. Thank you, Jason. Thanks, buddy. Nice talking to you. Here is the Terrence K. Williams tweets out. Good man is. The headline is Shave for Renee. And you got to pause and think about that for a moment until you see the video. And there's a thing here. It's the Shave for Renee protest. That's what it is. Woman posted a video shaving her head as part of a new protest trend called Shave for Renee, where activists, they're of course activists, so you can call them, they're mentally ill lunatics, where activists are cutting their hair. When they say cutting their hair, they got a buzzer, what do you call it, like a beard trimmer kind of thing, like one of those things that you get at the CVS. And she got this thing, and she started on the side and shaved the entire side of her head, and then the other side she could do a mohawk or something, and then she goes right up the middle, and then she shaves her whole head, and while she's doing it, she starts sobbing. She starts crying. Now, she doesn't cry clearly enough. She should have put the microphone closer to her crying because that would be better for radio. So, lady, next time you're going to shave your head and cry, get the microphone closer to your face, would you? Listen. You can hear the buzzer. Listen. No, it's her head. There it is. You hear that? Shave for it. She's shaving her head. And she looks very concerned. Now she's sobbing. She's sobbing. There it is. Hear it? Do it again. There it is. I love that sound. Isn't that a great sound? That's the sound of Shave for Renee. I might make that my ringtone. I make that my ringtone. And what is that? That's an odd ringtone. That's not an odd ring. That's Shave for Renee. That's the Shave for Renee protest, my ringtone. So a woman posted a video shaving her head as part of a new protest called Shave for Renee. Activists are cutting their hair, shaving their heads, and it's not really shaving, buzz cutting their heads. First day in the Marine Corps. Stand with Renee Good and ICE protest, that's it. But in her own video, the woman calls her Renee Cook. In the video, she calls her Renee Cook. So she doesn't even know her name. Her name is Renee Good, but this woman calls her Renee Cook. She's not very well informed. She probably gets her news from MS-13 DNC, showing she didn't even care enough to correct her name before cutting off her hair and posting it. Shave for Renee is spreading as the newest symbolic protest in support of Renee Good. And here's the posting here of her, and she's sobbing and she's crying while she's shaving her own head. because she's very upset. And here it is. We watched Renee Cook. This is what her own posting says. And she printed it out here. We watched Renee Cook get brutally gunned down by ICE. ICE has shot at least 3 other people before this over the course of 12 years or what is this? And countless others have suffered and disappeared. This is the Democrat Party's language, indicting the United States as being like a third world hellhole where left-wing governments disappear people there, and disappeared because of them. See, suffered and disappeared because of ICE. I'm sick of feeling helpless. Well, you should definitely shave your head then. And like there is nothing I can do, so here's my peaceful protest. Shave for Renee Good protest. That's the posting here. And 3 pictures of her looking very severely mentally ill. And people are responding because she posted it here. And naturally people respond with this, well, that'll show them, by golly. That sounds like a Minnesota person responding there. Isn't that amazing? And there it is. Dating becoming easier for guys out there. Shaved hair, blue hair, wearing a mask in the grocery store, turn and run. And you see there were a bunch of them out in the street with bullhorns yesterday. And the whole bunch of them, they were wearing black surgical masks. That was to conceal their identities, of course, not because of the Wuhan Red Death out of Wuhan, China. But actually, this is good. And yeah, somebody says, well, good, now we can spot them further away. And someone said, didn't the Manson family do that? Just saying. And speaking of which, I was talking a little bit yesterday. You know how they keep calling, I'll call her Renee Cook for the rest of the show. I won't really. It's Renee Good. And they like to identify her as a poet. She's a poet. Says she's a poet. And she won a poetry contest in, 20 years ago? 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I keep doing that. It was 2020. It was 5 years ago. She won a poetry contest at a university somewhere. And that reminded me, I said, because the news media kept calling her a poet. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Wasn't Renee good? She's a poet. And then it occurred to me, I talked to Michael. I said, I believe Charles Manson was a poet. Wasn't Charles Manson a poet? And it turns out, yes, Charles Manson was a poet. Not only was he a poet, he was a published poet. Charles Manson, because Democrats love murder, and they love Charles Manson, and they love, I think, Jim Jones and the Jonestown death cult. We might see millions of those things. But it turns out that Renee Good, years ago now, wrote a poem called On Learning to Dissect Fetal Pigs. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. This is actually the name of her poem. And she won an award because she wrote a poem, and it's pretty amazing stuff. I want back my rocking chairs, slippiest sunset, she said, and coastal jungle sounds that are terkets from cicadas and pendameters from hairy legs of cockroaches. I've donated Bibles to thrift stores, she says. Mashed them in plastic trash bags with an acidic Himalayan salt lamp. She's destroying Bibles because this is how you win the poetry contest. The post-baptism Bibles, the ones plucked from the street corners from the meaty hands of zealots. This is the poem that she won an award for, and she calls it On Learning to Dissect Fetal Pigs. And it goes on from there, but it's more of the same. Under the clippings of the moon and 2:45 a.m., I study and repeat. Ribosome, that's endoplasmic, and lactic acid. This is the poem that won her an award. And that reminded me, well, if that's an award-winning poem, then I think, did you know that Charles Manson also did an album of his music where he took his poetry and an acoustic guitar, just like John Hinckley, who the Democrats buy tickets to go see. The Democrats buy John Hinckley's T-shirts because they love assassinating presidents. And you look at all the American presidents assassinated, Republican, then a Democrat by a communist, then Reagan shot, Trump shot the Democrat Party. It's all pretty normal stuff. But there's there it is. There's the poem on learning to dissect fetal pigs by Renee Nicole Good, and it's an award-winning poem because of the mental illness. And here is I wanted to compare and contrast whose poetry is better, Renee Good's or Charles Manson's.
It could be heaven if you think about it. If it don't come around, maybe you could turn around and then say you could live without it. But if you can't live without it and you got no mind to complete, if you had no words in your head and your mind didn't touch the street, if you lived in the clouds and your head run on a feather, that you couldn't think about a duck walking backwards in stormy weather, then I would imagine that your brain would bounce like a ball, and then you'd try to figure out why you're trying to stand up like somebody in my hall.
See, there's Alex trying to stand up like somebody in my hall. That is literally Charles Manson, who took his poems, and it's just his poem. He didn't even set that one to acoustic guitar music. We found a couple of them yesterday, and that's Charles Manson in his prison cell reading one of his poems, and I'm torn between Renee Good's poem on learning to dissect fetal pigs and Charles Manson's poem. And then, Charles Manson, again, then he started playing the acoustic guitar and setting his poems to music because he's just another Democrat. Let's face it, Charles Manson, just another Democrat. And he wasn't even at the Tate home, Sharon Tate home, where that massacre took place, and he wasn't at the LaBianca home where that massacre took place. But he instructed everybody to do that stuff, and it's not important now. But I did have an encounter with Tex Watson one time in a penitentiary in California. Tex Watson is the guy that actually used the giant knife and murdered the people at the scene of the crimes, and pulled out the baby and all that stuff. But I got a Tex Watson story that I don't tell very often. But there it is. So we got Charles Manson, a poet, and we have Renee Nicole Good, poet. So they have that in common. And she tried to murder a federal law enforcement officer, tried to run him over with her car and kill him. And the Democrats will forever say it just didn't happen. It's like Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Remember Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri? And they had, what was the guy's name? His buddy who robbed the store with him before they had the encounter with the police. And Johnson, Johnson, and he's the guy who said, oh, yeah, Michael Brown said, hands up, don't shoot. He put his hands up and said, hands up, don't shoot. And the entirety of the American news media took his word for it. Dorian Johnson. I had it partially. And Dorian Johnson was there with Michael Brown, the hero of the Democrat Party, several years ago in Ferguson, Missouri, when he was shot and killed by his 6'5", 295-pound, 18-year-old was Michael Brown. I still have a Hands Up, Don't Shoot T-shirt at home that I got at a Black Lives Matter riot here in D.C., where they were burning and sacking and looting and plundering because they heard a lie. They heard a lie that Michael Brown was gunned down by a police officer who was a merciless racist. And that police officer, I believe, had to leave the country because it was too dangerous for him to stay in the country. Because the Democrat Party is violent and criminally insane. They're the entire Democrat Party. What is the matter with you people? And you know who they're not marching for? You know who they're not upset at? Remember, they're out in the street, Hamas. I played the audio yesterday in New York. They're chanting, or day before yesterday, they're chanting, we are Hamas, we are Hamas. They're protesting on behalf of Hamas. But have you heard what's going on in Iran? And why are they not marching for Iran, these leftists in the United States? The new numbers out of Iran, that's coming up. Shave for Renee. Spread the word. We were just talking about what song was playing on Renee's car when she came into this conflict, and I think we figured it out. Right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Mike calling from Gainesville, Virginia. Michael, you are on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Hey, Mike.
Happy Hump Day.
Thank you.
You know, the idea that this ICE officer should go on trial isn't necessarily a terrible idea, given that he would be exonerated and then, he would essentially have immunity from future prosecution when people in political power decide they want to go after him again. But your earlier caller talking about the digital images not being reliable, that's a lot like the Zapruder film was altered before we got to see it. A lot of people claim it was rotoscoped and edited. So evidence in the digital age is unreliable, but we certainly have a video at the moment that shows the car making contact with the officer, and whether that's going to be changed by ABC News or somebody else remains to be seen, I think. But we live in a strange time where what we see, what we all get to see together, may not be the actual truth of any matter anymore if it's all digital video.
Well, that's a fact, yeah, and that becomes more and more true because it is so easily altered. Video is so easily altered. I have a picture of myself. This just happened yesterday. I'm not trying to brag, but shaking hands with Ronald Reagan when he was president of the United States. It was in Santa Barbara, California. And a friend of mine took that photograph and turned it into a moving picture, into a movie where now I'm moving and shaking hands and turning while I'm shaking hands with Ronald Reagan. But it's just a still photo. And a friend of mine, who's not a technical guy, just turned it into a moving picture. And you can, if you know the picture, you can spot the trick. But if you don't know the picture, you'd think that it's a videotape, right? And anybody can do that now.
Well, yes, but for this officer's case, at least, thankfully, there's at least like 6 or 7 videos from different vantage points that would show that somebody's making an alteration to the video. So at least there's multiple views of it.
That's right.
For the moment. But we gotta cement the idea that even though other people are going to come out with videos making it look like he was not struck by the vehicle, we do have videos that show that he was actually made contact with the car.
That's right.
And
that's right.
The sooner we do that, the better.
And you remember Derek Chauvin arrested George Floyd, and he was stabbed 22 times and jailed.